gateway to promote regional trade. In terms of the trade corridors, we have all these corridors: Mtwara, Dar es Salaam, South Durban, Nakala, and many others. So these are very close to the port, 800 max, 1,200, and these are the kind of products that these corridors are moving: fuel, fertilizer, petrochemicals, cargo, and all that. So let's embrace these corridors to ensure that we are able to trade not only between our countries but to the entire region. Can change. On this presentation, you can see that Malawi, as the previous speaker has alluded to, once you're in Malawi, you'll be able to get to the rest of the world. So Malawi is positioning itself as a regional and as well as international. We have preferential markets. Once you're in Malawi or Uganda, you should be able to access all these markets to China, US, within SADC, and many other continental as well as international trading blocks. In terms of key facilitation reforms, there's been a lot of efforts that Malawi has undertaken to enhance trade within the region, such as development of one border posts, simplified trade regime, STR for SMEs. This is a simplified regime where our smallholder and medium enterprises are able to do trade without actually paying taxes. So there is a simplified regime in the border to ensure that you do business. I talked about Africa Continental Free Trade Area. This is a system where we have to trade within Africa. We can take your products to Nigeria, you can take your products to Congo, you can take your products to Egypt. We're using this facility, and MITC and Ministry of Trade will assist you to do this platform. So the idea is, let's embrace regional trade. Let's trade our products. Whatever products we have, whether in Uganda or Malawi, let's push them across. There's a lot of products here that we could excel outside and in dollars. So in terms of Malawi and Uganda trade analysis, like the business people in this room to take advantage, both in Uganda and Malawi, to take advantage of this flight. Make use of it. It will carry a lot of cargo. Let's trade. Let's not complain about Forex, because there's a facility with Centenary Bank that you can pay in Kwacha here and get goods in Uganda, from Uganda. Vice versa. You can also buy goods here and pay Uganda shillings, UGX, and you'll be able to get your goods. So there's no excuse whatsoever for us not to do business. So I'd like to encourage each one of us to do business between ourselves. Very, very important. And in terms of trade, in 2022, Malawi exported to Uganda somewhere around $5.6 million, while Uganda bought from Malawi roughly around $2.1 million. But as time goes by, we've slacked as a country. You'll see that in 2024, Uganda did almost $6 million, while us, we've slumped to merely around, say, under $1 million. So in terms of quantum numbers, we are still at about $7–8 million trade between us. Even in the current situation, we are still around $8 million trade between us. What has done is it has shifted. There's more business from Uganda coming here and less of Malawian business into Uganda. We believe that we need to jack up as a country. Let's ensure that we push more products into Uganda. They buy a lot of groundnuts. They buy a lot of agriculture products. They buy a lot of steel, recycled steel. Let's continue to push. If the problem was the forex, should not be the case this time around, because you can get money paid here in your own currency. You don't need to struggle to go to black market and get, money. Next. So the exports, as I've said, exports to Uganda, sugar, tea, legumes, green tobacco, iron and steel. This is what, and including groundnuts, this is what we send to Uganda. Most of these are in raw form and processed. The percentage of processing is 0.32%, while in Uganda has been exporting to Malawi mainly value added. That's why you've seen that their numbers have gone up. Sugar, iron and steel, mainly dairy products, because our colleagues are very accomplished in the dairy and livestock industry, which we can learn a lot as Malawi, because we are trying to export livestock products to the Middle East. We can learn a lot from Uganda. Cereals, palm oil and others. Let's do business between ourselves. And it is our intention that end of this meeting, we should have tangible business and export leads that we can follow. In terms of the key drivers and challenges for Malawi and Uganda trade, there's been, being a regional bloc membership, it's an advantage because we can export our products to each other without paying duties and tariffs. Our private sector is agile, but also there is mutual promotion of products and trade fair and exhibition. This is one of the events, one of the testimony to this effect, that we need to do business together. In terms of challenges, there's been problem of logistics through Tanzania. There's been some tariffs and non-tariff barriers, a bit of harassment of our truck drivers and logistic people across our countries. This has to be managed at a policy level to ensure that everyone is able to move freely their goods and services. There's been years. So we are urging you, the business captains, to ensure that we change these numbers. We have to make sure that we increase trade between ourselves. Both countries, there is limited complementarity. You'll find that most of the products that we have are more or less similar, but there is room for us to trade. So as business people, let's find opportunities. Let's talk to the Investment Authority of Uganda and Malawi Investment and Trade Center to see how we can do business, and we'll urge our principals also to do the same to ensure that business is done between ourselves. In terms of the opportunities in the regional trade, the essence of the paper is to look at business in the wider region where Malawi positions itself as a hub for regional trade. You can see that as COMESA countries, we've been importing a lot of products, from fuel, electrical equipment, plastic, pharmaceuticals. You can see big numbers, $97 million. Machinery, $106 million. Plastic, all this can be done if we are inter-trade, if we trade amongst ourselves. But what has happened is most of this trade is done outside the region. So the essence of the paper is let's encourage regional trade and utilization of Malawi as a business hub. Next. So this slide, it actually shows where we are importing from in terms of our products. We are not importing from Uganda. We are number one importing source is China. So all of us as Africa, we are buying products from China. Why can't we trade amongst ourselves? Why should we buy? You can see 6% of our trade is India, 4% US, 5% South Africa. Yes, that's ours. Saudi Arabia and all that. You'll see very few countries, maybe 2 or 3 from that list. So the essence is there is room for us as Africa to trade amongst ourselves. Let's do business. Let's not think that everything comes from China. Uganda has very good buses, which Malawi can take advantage of. There's pharmaceutical industry growth, which Malawians can take advantage. Partner with the Ugandan investors. Malawian investor, even Ugandans come here and invest in various areas like fertilizer, pharmaceuticals, and many others. Next. So this one is, I think you can go back. Yes, so this is basically East African community. This has been the imports of the whole Eastern African community. As you can see, there is a lot of business within ourselves for us to do business. Next. And that's also where the East African community imports from. You can see China is number 1, India number 2, United Arab Emirates number 3, and all that. So let's source our trade between ourselves. Next. In terms of the challenge, why is it that we're not doing business with each other as Africa? Top of it is logistics. There's high transport and logistic costs, limited rail coverage and reliability. We're not connected, even with Kampala. I have a case where we wanted to export maize flour to South Sudan. We had serious logistical challenges, serious ones. Just for a truck to enter an East Africa was required to pay $700 per truck. One country. And the next one, you have to do the same. And for you to enter one border to another, you need a lot of documentation. So there's room for us as policyholders, as the Ministry of Industrialization, Business, Trade and Tourism, and Ugandan counterparts to do the same. We had a very bad experience when a truck approached the border of our destination country. They were refused to enter because there were flimsy allegations about the quality of our maize flour. It was purely a non-tariff barrier. Someone didn't want us to enter with our maize flour in South Sudan. So they took samples of the maize flour, took it to Kenya to test as SGS. They found that the quality was fantastic. In fact, here we had the SGS. It was just a non-tariff barrier. So this is real, and we need to ensure that this is not repeated. Could be one of the reasons why we are not trading. We are easily trade with China, unlike trading with Uganda. Why? What is our problem? Why should we send our products to India, for example? 100,000 metric tons of pigeon peas. why not send some products here to Uganda? So the essence of this message is let's do business. These border delays and administrative bottlenecks is exactly what I've just alluded to, that our revenue authority services for both countries need to be up to speed. There has to be speed under which we help private sector. The climate risk affecting infrastructure has been another major. Next. So in terms of strategic priorities for greater regional trade, we have to expand the multimodal network of railways and infrastructure. We have to strengthen energy supply, development of industrial parks and special economic zones. Malawi is developing industrial parks in five centers or 5 areas. We have heard from the previous speaker that Uganda is doing the same. Let's share knowledge. Let's share skills on how best we can. We need also to deepen regional cooperation beyond tackling of non-tariff barriers. Next. So, Malawi and Uganda could work together to streamline custom procedures, red tape, and make better use of COMESA preferential opportunities. Because despite that we don't have tariffs, we don't charge each other taxes, trade is very low. Why? So we need to encourage our business people between the 2 countries to do business with each other and take advantage of the preferential opportunities that exist in this region. We also need to improve road, railway, so that we can transport our products better. We can do better as a region in terms of trade. We also need to value add our products. We should not just export raw products. Malawi is exporting largely raw products to Uganda. Let's add value to those products, and so that we can get a better, more value for the services. SMEs need to be supported, both in Malawi and beyond. SMEs are the engines of growth globally. But as Africa, we are not supporting much to our SMEs. There's no fund to support the SMEs. To get money for an SME is very, very hard. So there has to be a deliberate policy. In other countries, there is a specific resources that are put in the national budget to support export. Regional cooperation, let's continue and harmonize our tariff and linkages between ourselves. Very, very important. Next. So at this point in time, I would like to thank you for the attentive listening to this paper. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Mr. Ndeke for highlighting the opportunities as well as the challenges that we are currently facing and how we can resolve those issues in order to enhance trade between Uganda and Malawi. Before we move to the panel discussions, there is a short program where we're going to have a presentation of gifts from the ambassador to the Malawi delegation. So let me call His Excellency, the ambassador, to come on stage so that you can do the gift presentation. So the first gift is going to be presented to the guest of honor, Madam Spiwe Sisha. Please come on stage to receive your gift. Then let me call Mr. Ndeke, representing MITC, to receive your gift. Let me call Mr. Eddie Kalonga, representing Minister of Foreign Affairs, to come and receive your gift. And the last one was supposed to be received by the Director of Trade, Madam Charity Musozo. I don't know if there is any representative from the ministry to receive that gift. Madam Donata? Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm pretty sure that the Malawi side will also prepare something for you before you leave. Or they will bring it when they come on the 15th in Uganda. Thank you very much. So I think we can now move to the next session. Apologies, we are behind schedule, but we are trying to catch up. So we'll just go straight into the panel discussions. We have two. We'll try to keep them brief so that we manage our time. So the first panel discussion is on expanding bilateral trade and removing market barriers. Today's panel focuses on a key driver of Uganda Malawi economic cooperation, expanding bilateral trade and removing market barriers. Both countries have strong complementarities in agriculture, manufacturing, and services. Yet businesses continue to face challenges related to standards, logistics, market information, and regulatory processes. So this session will try to delve into looking into these issues and provide a solution on how best we can resolve them. So let me call Mr. Levi Mariana to come in front, who's our first panelist. Mr. Levi Mariana is from the Malawi Chamber of Commerce, Malawi Confederation of Chamber of Commerce and Industry, MCCCI. Long names. Welcome, Levi. Then we're going to have Mr. Richard Kwatiwani from ADMAC. Richard Kwatiwani. Ms. Gawa Chatata from Tantwe. You can clap hands, yes. We are going to have, once again, Mr. Eria Tingatoola Kaweireku. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Yeah? And we are going to have Ms. Kiaripa Sara Ruberetti from the Uganda Manufacturers Association. Yeah. So these are our panelists that are going to deliberate on the first discussion on expanding bilateral trade and removing market barriers. So to all of you, what do you think is the most significant opportunity for expanding bilateral trade between Uganda and Malawi, and what stands in the way of fully unlocking it? I will start my far right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sarah Veleti, like already mentioned, from the Uganda Manufacturers Association. So he asked about what opportunities. Excuse me, Mr. Moderator. I beg your pardon on the question, the opportunities that...
Okay, apologies. Yeah, so it's on the significant opportunities for expanding bilateral trade between Uganda and Malawi.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so Mr. Lovemore already mentioned about the bilateral opportunities that exist. I think in the interest of time, I don't think I should go back to them, but from the private sector perspective, I believe logistics, partnership, and digital platforms. From the private sector point of view, which I believe Malawi also has, I'm looking at, for example, freight companies, people who do transport, coming together from both countries and, for example, pooling resources to create that shared tracking fleets or coordinated rail cargo services. First of all, this will improve, reduce the costs. I know there are those challenges that cut across as far as manufacturing from both countries are concerned. So how are we working towards reducing the costs, but also improving reliability? Then secondly, private firms can also develop apps. I don't know if we have Uber transport here. Do we have? We don't have? Like taxis, we don't? Not Uber. Okay, so Uber is an app which we mainly in Uganda and I think other countries have. So in terms of private sector working together, I'm looking at if we can have such apps as far as technology development is concerned, so that we track shipments, we optimize the routes and provide real-time customs clearance updates. So that is why I used an Uber app. If we can develop that, there we shall be able to monitor how our different products are moving, at what stage are they, have they been cleared, have they, for example, have they reached the right person? Yeah. Then I'm looking at another opportunity in terms of partnerships in building shared storage facilities near border points. Mr. Lovemore talked about, I'm sorry about the name. He talked about we have border points, but then a lot of documentation crossing goods from one border to the other. There are already challenges on manual documentation. There are already challenges of long queues at these border points. So how are we building the partnership so that at least we have storage facilities near these border points, which of course will cut on the spoilage, but also reducing on the delays, especially for the agro-processed goods. So for me, I think those are some of the opportunities that we can explore in terms of, as far as private sector partnerships are concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that response. If there's anyone else who would want to add something, Madam Chatata, please go ahead, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to emphasize on what the ambassador was talking about, the significance for SMEs, where he mentioned about the plan to move a few SMEs to Uganda to appreciate what is happening. I want to link that to the understanding. Businesses understand that there is an opportunity in Uganda, but the cost of going through that process, most of the times we set up these programs assuming that the SMEs are going to bear the cost of learning, because there's going to be some learning process. So moving the SMEs from here to go there would be one of the starting points. For me, I'm looking at a more comprehensive program, more of an accelerator. So we identify high-performing SMEs in Malawi, and then we link them up with SMEs in Uganda, like the association, and they go to understand. But part of that cost should be borne by other partners. I'm not saying a fully free process, but part of that cost should be borne by other partners, knowing very well that it will be a very daunting task to let the SMEs bear all that cost. Through that program, we should see some that are going to perform, because there are issues of standards. I can perform in Malawi, but Uganda is a different space. So I need that time where I can learn and understand how to operate in Uganda. And through that process, I'm going to be an example that will also inspire other SMEs to see the way how things are done. But if we're just going to assume that, oh, because Malawi businesses know that there's an opportunity, they're going to go, it's not going to work. And then the other key also opportunity that I saw, just looking at the trade balance, Malawi is only selling and processed products. We have very beautiful products in Malawi. The current processing space has developed to a level that we can trade. How do we tap onto that to start moving processed products to Uganda? And then the other side that I didn't see is services. We are not looking at services as something that we can also sell. I loved it when she started touching on those aspects, but that's also a big opportunity for Malawi to trade with Uganda. There are things that we are doing very well here, which we can pass on and go to Uganda as consultants. In the same way, one time I went to Uganda and I saw their registration center. When we talk of one-stop center in Malawi, and then we look at the one-stop center in Uganda, there is a lot that we can learn from them. Their businesses are registered very fast. There's MRA, there's everyone in that space, and they have very limited time at which you can register, which is so encouraging for foreign investors. So those are some of the things beyond just trading. Let's learn from each other so that we can move fast. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those remarks. We move on to Mr. Eria.
I have already talked enough, but for businesses to grow between two countries, the private sector is the driver. So what I would encourage our private sector in Malawi and Uganda to do is what they call a B2B, business to business. Know what you want in Malawi, deal with the private sector player in Malawi so that he can help you to source for the market you're looking for or for the product you're looking for, and you be able to satisfy your need in Uganda. So my contribution on this part is B2B, business to business. Let the private sector players rule the game.
Thank you very much. We move along the line to ADMAC, Mr. Richard.
Thank you very much. I just want to concur with the speaker that has just finished, that the B2B is also an area that ADMAC is exploring. Like, I think we have seen an opportunity that when Uganda came in, because we were also in Mozambique, what we want is, there are times that you find that ADMAC has got people that are asking to buy so many things from ADMAC. For example, you find a commodity or a product that ADMAC cannot in its own suffice the market or cannot deliver in the quantities that are needed by maybe the European countries or whoever is the customer that is buying from us. Now we are trying to push areas where if ADMAC, for example, let me just bring the commodities that ADMAC deals in. For example, maybe somebody is looking for soya beans, and ADMAC has the capacity to supply, say, 100,000 metric tons, but the customer is looking for 200,000 metric tons. There are times that you'll find that the customer will just leave and go to another country, but we want to explore areas where ADMA can come in and say, we've got 50,000 metric tons, and Uganda, you also produce the same. Can you bring the 50,000 metric tons, and so that we supply the market that we have found? So this is the some of the areas that we are exploring, but we know even though it will be B2B, but obviously the government issues comes in terms of the policies that have to be followed up, we have to follow, as well as the barriers that are there in trade. So one area that we can explore is the partnership between the companies in the region. So this is timely that we can explore the same with Uganda to say, okay, you've got maize, we've got maize, and there is this tonnage that is needed, and we can explore together and move together. So this is the contribution that we can bring, that if the two countries and the two companies come together, we can also pursue bigger orders that are coming to Malawi, which Malawi on its own cannot manage to supply. Thank you.
With those comments, we now move to Levi from MCCCI to give your comments.
All right, thank you, moderator. I think on my end, what I can say is I would like just to add on what has been said. I think the critical aspect, as the way we have said in terms of B2Bs, but I think we have to look at it in an angle in terms of market intelligence, the provision of market intelligence. This is something which is going to be able to help us to be able to know in terms of our counterparts, in terms of market research, information on the foreign market, what type of products, what procedures are required for these products to move into those countries, like we were talking about Uganda. We have seen the opportunities which are available there, yes, but now in-house as Malawi, we need to know the procedures which are going to be done on our end this side. We have seen the Ministry of Industrialization launching the National Single Window, which is something which is going to help in terms of the bureaucratic procedures in Malawi here, in terms of procedures of maybe getting certifications of the products when they're trying to be exported outside, something which these exporters, they can be able to track. But the market information is something which is going to be critical for us, because when one is trying to move into that country, they should be able to know if they have done their background check and if that investment or the products which they're sending outside, in terms of the revenues they're going to bring. Thank you. I think I can add for now on that one.
Thank you very much for that comment. So moving to you, Area, I know you've spoken a lot. You discussed on the reforms, but just wanted you to touch on the recent reforms that or facilitation measures that you have implemented in order to encourage and facilitate investment and trade, that you'd want our Malawian business community to know, as well as the priority non-tariff barriers that need to be addressed to stimulate increased bilateral trade between the two nations. So if you can tackle those two questions.
Thank you. The first measure, I think, if the audience can allow, is let's first clap for Afande Mwesija again. He did a commendable job of advocating for Malawi Airlines to come to Entebbe. You know, moving trade 4 times a week is a very, very good measure. And equally, Uganda Airlines is also going to be aiding this. So we've jumped to one hurdle, which is the transportation hurdle, which we've been facing. Secondly, my neighbor here has told you about the one-stop center at the Investment Authority. We put up the one-stop center, a physical one-stop center, where we have, there are 21 government agencies which are involved in facilitating both foreign and local investments. So you reach a room and you find the you find the Uganda Revenue Authority, you find the registration of companies, you find UNBS, all agencies. So you do enter a room and you form a company, get a tax registration, and you move out with your business to ready transact. So we saw that this reform was not enough. People were still coming into the place. So investors were saying we were wasting time. So we also put up a virtual one-stop center. So you just go online and you're in Malawi. Right now you can register a company. You can form a company in Uganda right now from here, and it's registered. You get a tax identification number, and you can start doing business without stepping in Uganda. So those are some of the reforms we thought to do that. Then also we try to streamline processes, in that we don't want an investor to go to and from. So all these things we had to put them on. The second question you wanted me to answer is about the non-tariff barriers and how we are handling them. Mr. Lavma has been sincere and has told you one of the problems Uganda Malawi trade is facing, and Africa at large, are the non-tariff barriers. Because the tariff side we know, I'm supposed to pay so much ABCD. But those things which hinder us, yes, the customs are there, but we have customs and administrative blocks. These are hindering us. We don't know how many documents we are going to sign. You leave Malawi, you leave Lilongwe, you are going to, like he said, to Juba, you're taking your goods. And you plan that when I reach Tanzania, I'll sign this document. When I reach Kampala, I'll sign this. When I reach Iregu, I'll sign. But along the way, more documents produced, keep on coming, keep on producing themselves, which you didn't plan for. So that is one among the issues which is affecting business within the African region. The second one is, of course, transport and logistics. I will still use this example. Moving a product from Malawi, which is a landlocked country, to, say, Uganda, which is also another landlocked country. We have to pass through Tanzania. Tanzanians will ask you questions. You reach water, they ask you questions. So that's another non-tariff barrier facing. Then also we have the technical tariff barriers. They are called sanitary and phytosanitary measures. They tell you are bringing maize to Sudan, you first go to SGS, they measure it. Where are you taking these animals? Where is the certificate? So those are the tariff barriers, things we can actually work on as individuals, and we make it smooth play. And then I don't know about Malawi, but in Uganda there's the big animal called corruption. Actually, even in Malawi, yesterday when I was coming to airport, I saw policemen stopping vehicles. Those ones are not stepping to check the physical condition of the vehicle. No, they want something for you to continue. So those small impediments are the ones which are limiting trade. So if we can work on the non-tariff barriers, business will thrive between our sister countries. I thank you.
All right, thank you very much for highlighting the reforms that were in your presentation, as well as what the ambassador mentioned about the Malawian airline now being able to fly to Uganda, as well as the streamlining of the processes, the one-stop, both physical and the virtual. I think we do have in Malawi, yes, but I think the number of the institutions, we need to expand to do more so that we can streamline the processes to be able to facilitate investors and traders when they come. So thank you very much for that contribution. We move to MCCCI, Bwana Levy. So in your own experience, what are the specific challenges that Malawian businesses encounter when they are trading with Uganda, and where do you see the most immediate opportunities to streamline the procedures? Once you take that one, you can also take the question on how we can enhance B2B linkages between Malawi and Ugandan institutions to promote export diversification and increase Malawi's presence in the Ugandan market. I think from the presentation from MITC, it was shown that our trade between Malawi and Uganda is on the lower side, but I think we can do more. So you can just shed light on how we can improve that trade deficit between Uganda and Malawi.
All right, thank you, moderator. I think most of the critical challenges, they have already been highlighted. We are looking at weak or poor road infrastructure, as Malawi being a landlocked country, like the way Uganda is as well. I think this is something which we should be able to take it as an opportunity, as the way we have heard that Malawi Airlines now will be flying to Uganda. I think it's something which is going to be able to ease up in terms of some of the transportations, but also apart from that as well, we should be able to look at this as an opportunity as well in terms of where we can also be able to go there on trade missions to network with several players as well in Uganda and understand exactly what they want. Because apart from that, we can actually see as well that in terms of standards and the requirements which are required for certain exports to be exported, it's also a critical challenge, like the way the colleagues say. So when we look at the first critical issue, it's going to be in terms of the poor infrastructure. But looking at this, I think the cushion has been already said. Malawi Airlines soon will be flying out. It's an opportunity which we can take, all of us here, and all business people who are here. And I think the second thing I can actually talk about, I think just to add as well on the poor road infrastructure, I can also say that I think as Malawi, we had also joined the Central Corridor Transit Transport Facilitation Agents, whereby there are 7 countries, including Uganda and Malawi, they're also there, whereby they're trying to see how best they can ease trade between these countries. So, okay, moving forward to the second point, I would actually say that high cost and economic instability as well is one of the key challenges. This one, we are looking at in terms of, we can talk about foreign exchange, although under foreign exchange now, there's a cushion, as well we have heard as well, in terms of Centenary Bank, whereby we can be able to exchange using the Malawian local currency as well as the Zambian currency. I think this has also been a critical challenge in Malawi in the previous years in terms of foreign exchange, but I think the cushion, the solution here has been provided for us. I think in terms of trade barrier in the foreign exchange area, I think we should say we are sorted out for now. I think on the third one, we have spoken about the regulatory complexity in terms of the procedures now. The procedures, they can actually be on our side as Malawi, as well as our counterparts. In terms of the processes, we talk about the one-stop border cost. Apart from that, we're talking about administration as well, procedures, whereby an exporter is exporting several products outside. He has to go through several ministries, including maybe the Chamber, the Ministry of Industrialization, Malawi Bureau of Standards. So I think it's a little bit time-consuming. That's where the National Single Window came in, so that it can be able to streamline these processes. I think now, looking at the second question, which you had asked, I think the critical thing which can be done to cushion this, we should be able to look at trade missions. I think as Malawi, we have been able to do a lot of trade missions, but I don't know if we have done a lot in terms of Uganda. I think it's one of the areas we can be able to look at. We should go there, understand them, understand their culture, learn what they do, and also we can also share our experiences as Malawians. Apart from that, we can also invest in infrastructure as well as digital. I think it's one of the critical areas as well, which we have to be able to look at. It's a problem in terms of, we have spoken about the reliable transportation, we're talking about energy, we're talking about electricity. I know that there are several projects which have been in line to cushion this in terms of electricity, but I think it's something which is hindering or increasing the cost of production for several products here. I think I can stop there for now.
All right, thank you very much, Levi, for highlighting some of the challenges that businesses face. You mentioned of weak or poor infrastructure. You mentioned of the high cost and economic instabilities. Of course, there's a cushion that has been provided, Centenary, where you can trade using local currencies. I think that's a game changer for us that will facilitate trade. And you have also touched on what you feel can be done in order to encourage trade, where we can have more trade missions just to learn, to interact, to engage, to understand, what our Ugandan counterparts need or want, as well as they understand what our needs are, then you can grow our trade in that way. So thank you very much for that contribution. Now moving on to our exporters and importers. What you as private sector, what solutions or partnerships do you believe would be the most immediate to provide the impact that we are looking for, to ease trade and expand it as well? So we'll start with Ngawa, then we'll move to UMA, then we'll finish with ADMAC.
Thank you so much. It's exciting to hear that Malawi or Malawian airline is going to Uganda. But my immediate reaction is, what is the cost of moving goods? Because for the longest time, we've been excited with Malawi Cargo saying, oh, we are available, we can work with you. And the product that I'm working on is the lightest. I mean, airlifting, it should be easy. Like Hebo is light and high value. But still, with that type of product, you find that the costing in Malawi, especially, is crazy. Why this? It's not only the problem of Air Malawi, because for them to come with those costs, there are other things like taxes and all that. So how are we supporting Air Malawi to support us? How is the government? And I'm looking at, we need to have some entry pricing, because here is the case where we want to export, and we all know we need that forex. So we need to start with entry pricing, so that when our products are liked in Uganda, in Mozambique, in Zambia, then we can sit down and say, let's come with realistic pricing that makes business sense. Then I was also excited when I saw the framework, African Free Trade Area. Everything is talking nice, but the practicality of those policies on the ground leaves a lot to be desired. So these are things that we need to make a decision to sort them out if we're going to make a progress. And then I was just thinking, when you say China is the one that is we are all buying from, there's a reason why we are buying from China. You know, and then you mentioned $6,000 to move a truck between Uganda and Malawi. That in China, in the good season, you can move a container for $6,000. So why would people? Why are we going to be trading between ourselves? But also, there's something about them, the business acumen. When you ask a Chinese for something and they've seen you, they are going to chase you until you buy it. You're going to have 5 of them. They are going to be talking to you in the morning. They are going to greet you. After 3, 4, 5 months, they are going to greet you again. What do we do in Africa? The ambassador said, we are not trading between ourselves. There's something in our behavior, in our business behavior, which is not making sense. Because in China, business is business. They have to make money from you. Here, sometimes when we have made a few dollars, we get drunk about it and we forget the business acumen. So we need to do that if Africa is going to move. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment. We move to Madame.
Thank you very much. I liked my colleagues saying that we need to have a round of applause to our ambassador for mentioning the direct flights. The long routes we have all been talking about. For example, through experience, yesterday when we were coming, you can't imagine we left Uganda. Okay, some of us left our homes around 8 p.m. to be in time for checking in by maybe midnight. So we arrived here around 2 something. So which is literally like almost like 24 hours from Uganda to Malawi. And you wonder why all that long route, and yet the distance should ideally be, short. So for me, I'm looking at where goods often have to first move through Tanzania, Mozambique, or even Zambia before reaching Uganda. This distance alone is time, the costs. So among the solutions, like I proposed, where we can have especially private sector in Malawi and private sector in Uganda, coming together. We do maybe storage facilities around the border points, and trust me, through the different partnerships we can make as private sector. My colleague from government was talking about, even here I think in Malawi, government taking lengthy processes in having policies, formulating policies, approving policies, then implementing. So how can we as the different private sectors come together? We do whatever we agree upon, as long as we have our two governments' blessing. I think this will, private firms often quickly implement these than waiting on the reforms which are going to be done by government. So for me, I think my strong point still comes to partnerships. Let's have these partnerships and we move together to ease trade between the two countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then lastly, we can hear from Richard from ADMAC.
Yeah, thank you very much. From the barriers that ADMAC has been facing, the first one, of course, is the same, to do with the government policies, the procedures, and the like. And as a private sector, what we did, as I said earlier on, we went ahead, knowing the barriers that we meet in our daily life. We went ahead to sign an agreement with the one of our colleagues. I'll mention the name. Of course, it's Mozambique, because I think this is the first time that we'll be interacting with Uganda. So what we have done is we rushed into signing an agreement, and we brought the agreement here to say, you know, there is a need for a government-to-government agreement that should be put in place so that we can facilitate this trade. Because in the trade, or in the agreement that we have agreed with our colleagues there, is to say, if Malawi has got few maize, maybe because the weather or whatever was not okay, then the other country, in this case Mozambique, can export to Malawi. If Malawi has got more in one area, then you can do the same and export to the other country. But as also said, we may have an order which we cannot satisfy on ourselves. And most of the times, then we just let the order pass. So we have that agreement to say, okay, fine, we can supply the order together to say so much will come from this country, so much will come from this country. Then we have signed that agreement to say that we can try as much as possible to push our countries to come up with the agreement. That's one solution that ADMAC had put forward. The other area that ADMAC has done is we were also very much impacted with the standards and the requirements, that when you've got an order and maybe you go to Uganda, you find they've got their standards and they've got their requirements, and maybe from our side, we only have Malawi Bureau of Standards, you have got a stick or whatever, and it's not recognized from the other area. And what we did was we raised an alarm to say, you will see that maybe the requirements are almost the same, but it's the question of who has done the testing and the like. Now, because of what we did, I think there's a United Nations came on board, and we are introducing a lab. They have given us some equipment that will be doing the testing right in Malawi. We are doing it in Rwanda. And once we've got that certification, we put the label, and we believe it will be accepted almost in all the countries. So this area where we are looking down upon maybe the standards of other countries and respecting the standards that comes from outside Africa, it's one of the areas that has been hitting us hard. And I'm happy that we started that initiative to say, we can have a lab that is recognized by UN, and that can eventually be recognized by most, maybe the grouping or the regional trade that we have in Malawi. So this is some of the initiatives that ADMAC is trying to put in place so that we can bring an immediate impact to trade. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard, for those comments. Our private sector has spoken. I hope that government officials that are gathered in here. You have taken notes of the contributions, the areas that we need to improve in order to facilitate trade between the two countries. So this marks the end of our panel. Maybe if there are any burning issues that you'd want to discuss or to put forward, any comments, and I'll give you this opportunity, 2 minutes for each speaker to give your final comments. So we'll start with the one who has the microphone. That is with my right
Thank you.
hand side.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Yeah, so all of us know that both Malawi and Uganda would belong to, at least we subscribe to SADC and COMESA. However, our paperwork requirements, borrowing from what he just said, is different. Our paperwork requirements, both countries differ, and yet we already have an opportunity of belonging to SADC and COMESA. So how are we working together to remove that duplication to ease trade between the two countries? So for me, that is food for thought, which we can jointly work upon. Thank you.
For me, just as our friends from Uganda, as you are here, we are from the business side. So let's talk, so that next time when you're coming, we are ready for you. And when you're also coming tomorrow, we need to start talking now before we even come there, so that we can make our plans and make things happen. You heard him say it's private sector that is going to make things happen. We are the people that implement the policy, the government policy. The government provides the framework. We show them how it's working, and they support us by perfecting through what we are doing. So let's start talking. Thank you.
Mine is to welcome the Malawians to Uganda. I will personally come for you from the airport.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mine is to say we have started now, and we shouldn't end here. There is more that we need to share between the two countries, and I believe with the MCCI and the government, we will be able to get more information from Uganda, so that we know more of you, so that we can prepare ourselves and know what kind of the standards, the policy, and everything else that we need. The barriers maybe that will be there. And again, my expectation is also that the Malawian side will also provide the very same information, so that you are aware of whatever you may meet when you come to Malawi. So we have started the borrowing. Let's keep pushing. Let's start trading between our countries, so that we can indeed improve on our trade and get somewhere else as Africans. Thank you.
For me, I think what I can actually say is an opportunity has been given to us, that from the Ugandan counterparts, they are going to invite almost 15 delegates from the private sector. I think when we are choosing these people to go that side, we should be critical in terms of the sectors, whereby we know that as Malawi, we are going to be able to benefit from there. And before we go, we should be able to prepare in advance. We can talk to our counterparts in those certain areas where we see as Malawi we can be able to benefit more, so that once we go there, we should be able to reap the best out of that trip. I think for what I can say is that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. A round of applause to our panelists. In their closing, they highlighted the need to harmonize our documentation to ensure that we facilitate trade in an efficient and effective way. We need to encourage, as you have started now, our B2B. We need to intensify our discussions so that we understand the needs, so that when we are going to Uganda, 15 December, I won't miss the date. On 15 December, we know what exactly it is that we are going to look for, the information that we need to present to our colleagues that side, so that, as Levi has said, we should have a mutually beneficial exchange. It's not just there to shop for our Christmas, but we need to go back, we need to come back with the orders to enhance our trade. Otherwise, thank you very much, my panelists, for the discussions. We were supposed to have a Q&A immediately after, but I think we're going to reserve that. Once we have the final panel discussion, then we'll combine and have the Q&A for both sessions. Otherwise, thank you very much. You can go and take your seat. Maybe the photographers, the panelists can stand, and then you can take a photo. Okay.
Okay, now I want to clarify on how we shall get the 15, or between 10 and 15 companies. We have to coordinate with Malawi Investment Authority, Trade Committee. They are the ones, of course, who know the big companies that actually do business in some of these areas. Okay, so really we have to deal with the established bodies of government, isn't it? I think that's the best and democratic way of doing things. Yes.
Thank you very much for that comment. Through MITC, I'm pretty sure that we're going to put in place the modalities on how we are going to pick the 10 or 15 companies so that we bring back the results that are needed. Thank you very much. You can stand to take a photo, and then we'll move to the second panel discussion. I think you can just... So moving on, let me call the next panelists, where they will discuss on how we can unlock investment opportunities in agriculture, energy, and tourism between Uganda and Malawi. So Uganda and Malawi share strong complementarities across agriculture, energy development, and tourism. Each sector presents untapped investment potential. Yet there are challenges, as we have already seen, such as limited market information, financing constraints, infrastructure gaps, and regulatory processes continue to slow progress. So in this discussion, we are going to explore practical pathways for unlocking opportunities, strengthening collaboration, and building mutually beneficial investment partnerships between the two countries. So at this juncture, let me call the panelists. Let me start by calling Ms. Daphne Mimusima from the Uganda Chamber of Energy and Minerals. An applause for Madam Daphne as she's coming on stage. Let me call Mr. Charles Ngambi from the Malawi Airlines. Mr. Charles Ngambi to come on stage. Let me call Mrs. Pirila Kafakamoyo, Director, Investment Promotion and Facilitation at the Malawi Investment and Trade Center. Ria, I need you. You are the star of the show. Then let me call Miss Muinda Babirie from Uganda Airlines. I hope I've pronounced them correctly. You forgive me. We have Charles Nambi. Is he in? If not, I think we will do with those that are available. So welcome once again to this panel discussion, where we are trying to explore how we can unlock investment opportunities in agriculture, energy, and tourism. Of course, there are many more sectors. Feel free to touch on any. So, to all our panelists, where do you see the greatest immediate investment opportunity between Uganda and Malawi across the priority sectors that we are both promoting, as well as the key constraint that needs to be addressed to unlock these opportunities? So we start with Daphne at the far end.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daphne Nimsima, and well, to answer the question of the moderator, I would speak in relation to renewable energy and, of course, cross-border mineral value addition. And here I would be talking about around about 2,000 megawatts of installed capacity, but then over 5,300 megawatts of undeveloped hydro potential, and that is in Uganda. And of course, we do identify about 450 megawatts of, geothermal potential. So when it comes to Malawi's electrification rate, it remains, according to the statistics that I got, it is about 14%, and it is one of the lowest in Africa. So it promotes, it presents a significant market for cross-border investments. And when we talk about minerals, of course, Uganda did its aerial geomagnetic survey, the one that was done in 2023. The report was presented earlier this year, 31st January 2025. And it mapped a lot of, minerals, mineral anomalies. So, and that includes graphite, lithium, and then rare earth elements. And then Malawi already produces over 8% of global rare earth metals. I saw from Songwe Hill, and that has established a graphite and neodymium exploration base. So to me, I would be talking about the opportunities in the renewable energy as well as mineral addition. Thank you.
Thank you very much for highlighting the energy and mineral opportunities that Uganda presents to investors. Moving on to Madam Pirira.
Thank you very much. From my side, I think what I could say is in the tourism, as we've already mentioned, that we've got the agriculture, manufacturing, mining, and tourism as the priority sectors. So on agriculture, we are moving on to mega farms. So those are the areas that I would quickly say that there are opportunities for the investors from Uganda to come and invest in our mega farms. And also in the tourism, we have got the tourism master plan that has identified potential sites to put up tourism projects. We have 10 projects that we already have feasibility studies that are readily available for them to come to invest in. And for the mining and energy also, There are other opportunities for the renewable energy that the investors can take advantage of. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Area?
Food. It's food.
Food.
For me, I see when we were coming in, I saw a lot of vast land, and she has also hinted on it. Mega farms. You guys can grow almost anything here. We have also good fertile soils in Uganda, so we can do emission co-investors. Our focus is on value addition. We bring in our people, they come and source from you, then we add value, and we feed the region. So for me, the number one thing, business, I'll talk to the Malawian investors. If you want to work with us, let's do value addition on our agricultural products, and let's feed the region. In Uganda, when Mr. Lavmo was explaining to you, we have a very good dairy and beef sector. And here you're consuming it, so you bring the maize, we feed the cows, and you bring for you the dairy products here. Then also the other thing I'll see now, where we can, I'm still on the food value chain, because that's a universal value chain. The other thing is that we can organize and we bring in fast food centers. Okay, we have a very nice franchise, Ugandan. It's called CJ's. The owner also owns this company here, you see, Mandela Millers. So he's trying to expand, and among the regions he's looking at is how to penetrate in the SADC country. Now that we are working together, you can be our gateway to the SADC country. I thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment. Food, I think that's the universal language. Everyone needs to eat, we all eat. So there are a lot of opportunities in the food value chains. We are not just talking about growing the production side, but we are also looking at value adding the commodities that we are going to grow. Madam Airlines, Uganda.
Thank you. My name is Rose Muinda from Uganda Airlines. Yeah, the one thing that I can stress right now, even mentioned by the members, when she mentioned that she took 12 hours to get here, is to tap in tours and travel, tourism, travel, to make sure that there's a huge potential in Malawi. I mean, coming here has opened us up that didn't know much about Malawi. There's a huge potential. We have a lot of traffic here. I was discussing with Father there, and we were talking about the religious traffic that comes from here. I mean, Zambia, we have a lot of traffic going to Uganda. And the Ugandans there and other people would tell us they used to take hours and hours. They used to go to Addis, come back to Uganda. So same thing I think is happening here when you're coming to Malawi or from Malawi. So the biggest is to tap into the tourism. Thank God that Air Malawi has started the flights, but we need more so that we have reliability and competitiveness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Rose. We have set the tone. Now we need to go into the specifics. What are the specific areas within Uganda's energy and mineral sectors that you can share with Malawian companies, areas where we can explore joint investment opportunities, and how UCEM can facilitate these partnerships? You can follow up that question, also tackling on what steps can Uganda and Malawi take to harmonize regulatory frameworks and promote safer, more transparent investment conditions in the mining and energy sector? You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Like I mentioned earlier, renewable energy development is key. So as we speak of logistics, as we speak of, flights from Malawi to Uganda, we need energy. Fuel is key. So we have to look into opportunities that are around renewable energy development. And here we could maybe see we could refer to the national electrification rate of Malawi and that of Uganda and see what has to be improved. Then the opportunities, of course, there could also go about the utility scale, and that includes solar. Then we have mini grids, then solar-powered agro-processing systems. There is a lot of agriculture going on around here, so we could look into using solar-powered agro-processing systems. And of course, clean cooking to save our mothers from charcoal, the smoke from firewood and everything. And then the other opportunity would be around mineral exploration and value addition. And with this, we could establish regional processing hubs for battery minerals. Earlier, His Excellency talked about our electric vehicle plant in Uganda, the Kira electric vehicle plant. So we could look into having a regional processing hub between Malawi and Uganda. Then joint gold refineries. Uganda currently has around about 80 tons of gold annually. Then fertilizer value chain partnerships, and this would include usage of the phosphates deposits in Malawi. Then, of course, we look into local content skills and supply chain and supply value chains. So those are the opportunities that we could look into as Uganda and Malawi. And then, of course, we have mineral labs, fabrication, environmental management. You cannot have mining and then you do not do environmental management. Then geotechnical mapping. Uganda was lucky. We got to work with the Excalibur Smart Mapping, where we did the aeromagnetic survey of the Karamoja region. And that is how I can sit here, to tell you of the deposits that are in Uganda, the rare earth elements that are in Uganda, which I know Malawi is very rich in. So we could look into geotechnical mapping, probably do it ourselves, because we have very smart mining engineers. We could, use those to do something around the geotechnical mapping. Then, of course, petroleum and gas services. That is where jet fuel, diesel, and LPG and gas distribution would come in. Now, the oil and gas sector in Uganda is tending to the production stage. And in Uganda, we have a non-flaring policy whereby the gas that is produced during the production of oil is not burnt in the environment. However, we are converting it to use it for other things like cooking. That is how I can sit here and tell you clean cooking is key when it comes to renewable energy, because for Uganda we are going to have enough gas, and that is going to come from of course the oil and gas sector, which has the EACOP that is running from Uganda to Tanzania. So yeah, when that is also an opportunity, because it is the distance between Uganda and Malawi minus using the flight bit. And if we tap into the opportunities of maybe logistics as a business opportunity that we can look into, then the transportation of the gas would not be a problem to enable clean cooking. Then, of course, infrastructure for mining companies or mining communities. Now, there is a lot of artisanal and small-scale miners, but then there is a lot that maybe we do not understand. Are they formalized? So we could look into working together, of course, with development partners like GIZ and others, so that we make sure that the small-scale miners are formalized and their infrastructure is, accommodative. So those are that is what I can speak in relation to the specific areas within which we can facilitate partnerships. So how will the Uganda Chamber of Energy and Minerals facilitate these partnerships? So we could have forums like this where we give an update on what is going on, depending on what we shall have planned to work on. Having key performance indicators is key, because I cannot say that now the Uganda Chamber of Energy and Minerals is going to start reporting on behalf of Malawi without having people to work with in Malawi. We must have, if it is maybe their investment authority or what are they doing, or what would they want to do, such that we understand. We have, modules that we follow to know this is where we are going to follow up on. Probably have like a Uganda Malawi Energy and Minerals Forum, so that we then know that this is going on. Then business-to-business missions and sector dialogues. There's a lot of mining happening in Uganda. There is a lot of mining happening in Malawi. So we could then have the B2Bs to understand, to know where are the opportunities. We do the matchmaking as well during these B2Bs. We don't just sit in to give updates, but we give the updates and then say, look, there is an opportunity here. Maybe in Uganda we would want to have fertilizers for the agriculture, but then the phosphates are not enough. Can Malawi do that? So we do something like that where we match make, and I think it would be an opportunity, or it would be a way how the chamber in Uganda would help, would work with Malawi to accomplish that. Then of course policy navigation support, and then bankable project preparation. And you also asked what steps can Uganda and Malawi take to harmonize regulations and enhance transparency. So here, of course, you could have joint extractive and regulatory dialogue, then common investment information portal, whereby whatever you need, you find there. In Uganda, let's say we have a mining cadastre, and what you find, if you need a license, let's say a mineral dealer's license, if right now you need a mineral dealer's license and you search on the mining cadastre of Uganda, you're going to be able to know that, yes, I can find the license like this, or I need to pay this amount of money to get it, or I go here to be able to get it, or this is the information that I need. Even if you needed to know what incentives are there for an investor to invest in Uganda, you're going to be able to find all that information. So we could have a common investment information portal that is going to enable us get all this information without us using hearsay, or she said this, and then we end up making mistakes. Then transparency in licensing and revenue. Then of course local content collaboration. Each country usually has a way they define local content, but most of the African countries, really, it is the same. So we could collaborate, and Uganda will need, probably, we get to know what Uganda needs and what Malawi needs. And of course here in the local content for Uganda, it goes to the oil and gas sector, where we are going to be needing around about 14,000 plus workers, because as much as we've reached the production stage, we recently found out that there is a lot more that is needed, especially after we have found out that there is more oil than we actually got to know previously in the Albertine Graben. So we shall be needing a lot more. And then of course cross-border minerals traceability, and that is how what we can do to make sure that Uganda and Malawi harmonize the regulations and enhance the transparency. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that elaborate explanation, highlighting the opportunities that Uganda presents in the energy and the mineral space, as well as how your chamber can facilitate partnerships between Malawi and Ugandan businesses. Thank you very much for that contribution. Let me invite Mr. Charles Ngambi to come on stage. So whilst Mr. Ngambi is coming on stage, we move to MITC, Madam Pirira, just to highlight the investment incentives or the reforms that Malawi is prioritizing to attract Ugandan investors in various sectors that we are promoting, as well as how MITC and UIA can strengthen joint promotion missions or investor roadshows to market opportunities across both countries.
Thank you very much. Malawi, we do have physical and non-physical incentives. We also have sector-specific incentives, and general incentives. For the Ugandan investors that will be coming to Malawi, they will be having access to these incentives. On the three sectors that you've mentioned, agriculture, tourism, and energy, these are priority sectors for Malawi. The agriculture sector, we have, as I said earlier on, we are moving towards the mega farms. For those investors that are going to take up this opportunity to invest in the mega farms, MITC will be facilitating them to help them to get the land for them to put up the mega farms. We'll be assisting them to get anything that they would need for them to establish these businesses in this sector. In the tourism sector, this is also, as I mentioned, a priority sector that has got also a lot of incentives that are being offered. For those investors coming in this tourism sector, as I said again, we have 10 projects that are ready for them. They've got already feasibility studies. We will be also assisting those investors to have access to acquire the lands that they need to put up the investments. On the energy sector, as we all know, this is a backbone for all other sectors. It is also an enabler for the other sectors that investors would come to invest in. This is a sector that government has designated as a priority. So investors that will be coming, they will be able to access the tax incentives, up to 10 years tax breaks. So these are the incentives that we would actually be giving, and there are more. As I mentioned, they are physical and non-physical. So there is a list, there's a comprehensive list that the investors would be able to enjoy. Talking on the joint missions that MITC and the Ugandan Investment Authority would be working on and how they would be working on, I think we've already started. One of the ways that we would work on the joint missions is having these forums whereby investors from Malawi would hear the opportunities that Uganda has. We can come up maybe with annual investment forums between the two countries. We have started here in Malawi. I'm sure the next one would be in Uganda, whereby we would even put these on our calendars. Calendar of events, we would have investment forum in Malawi. Calendar of events for the Uganda Investment Authority would also have the Malawi Investment Forum, where it could be done interchangeably between the two countries. Maybe what we need to do is to come up with a MOU, whereby we would agree how this is going to be done. If we are putting it in our calendars, it will give us more time for us to prepare, for us to share information, to even have budgets specifically for these investment forums. So I think one way is, one, to sit down and say, how do we start? When do we start? Coming up with the themes, which sectors are we going to look at? Which investors are we going to bring on board? And how are we going to do everything that we have to do between the two countries? So I think the first step would be to be sharing the information that we have. This afternoon we'll be having B2Bs. I think from there we'll get leads. We can even start from there as joint. So we can even come up with a sector that we want to look into and see how best we can go about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for highlighting the incentives that Malawi offers to investors in the agriculture, tourism, as well as the energy sectors, and on how we can jointly strengthen the roadshows to ensure that we have more business engagements between Uganda and Malawi. I think most of the talk has been on how we can connect the two countries. There was a mention that from Uganda to Malawi, people had to spend almost 24 hours to get here when we are just close by. So we moved to our colleagues in the airline space, starting from Uganda Airlines on how can we improve air connectivity between Uganda and Malawi to support tourism growth, business travel, and cargo movement, especially for high-value agricultural exports, as well as what strategic routes, partnerships, or code-sharing arrangements could unlock new tourism and trade flows between the two countries. So over to you, Madam Rose.
Thank you, moderator. Firstly, I would say that as an airline, providing air connectivity is our primary role. And before I even talk about how to support, your question says how improved connectivity will support. Before I speak about the supporting, I want to shed or to talk about the how do we improve the air connectivity. One, we can improve it by having direct flights. Air Malawi has gone ahead of us already. By 15th, we're going to have a direct flight, and that definitely is a significant step in improving air connectivity and economic growth in both East Africa and Southern Africa. And I know that even Uganda Airlines will definitely follow suit, because we need to have regular flights. We need to have regular flights. When you have regular flights, that's when we can increase the connectivity. Apart from the direct flight, we can also have the indirect flights. For example, from Lusaka, we can have Lusaka, Lilongwe, we can have Harare, Lilongwe. That's when our governments come in and they have signed those agreements where we can have the fifth freedom. When we had a conversation with one director of foreign affairs, was saying that some of those agreements were already signed. So it's now up to the government, since we have the government, His Excellency here, to make sure that these are effected, and our fifth freedom is also effected, because there is, like I mentioned, there is a huge potential passengers here in Malawi moving to different parts of the world. So by connecting, by having those fifth rights, we are able to connect passengers. Then the other way we can also improve the connectivity is increasing the number of flights. Like I've mentioned, we will have Air Malawi, and we have Uganda Airlines, and we have those other ones, indirect flights, that increases. And when we have more flights and more frequency, we have reliability. Your question mentions the high value cargo. We cannot have high value cargo, because when we have high value, it means it is time bound. It's perishable, so it needs to be moved fast. So there must be reliability. So when we increase flight, then we are improving our connectivity. Then also seat capacity. When we have a big seat capacity, meaning we can sell more seats. If we can sell more seats, meaning we are having more passengers traveling from Lilongwe to Entebbe, or Entebbe to Lilongwe, or even farther. And then same thing to do with cargo as well, because we are talking of transferring the cargo. We need the belly capacity as well. Which aircrafts are you going to operate in this region? Does it suffice? So those are all issues that have to be, considered when we are talking of high connectivity. Are we able to connect our cargo from Dubai to, let's say, from Dubai to Entebbe to Lusaka, or to Malawi? Do we have the space? Do we have enough seat capacity? Do we have enough belly capacity to carry our cargo? All those are factors that influence the high connectivity, improved connectivity. Then, of course, we talk about the destinations served. Right now, as I was checking, Malawi Airlines, they are serving about 7 destinations, of 6 destinations, I think. And I've found out that all those destinations they are actually serving, even Uganda Airlines is going there. So even from those destinations, we can actually have a wider network. And if we have code share, let's say we have a code share with Malawi Airlines, already it taps in the 17 destinations of Uganda Airlines, because we are able now to issue one ticket, which is of course convenient to their passengers and even cheaper, because if you're going to have one ticket, let's say you're going to Dubai and you just have a ticket from Lilongwe to Dubai, it makes it cheaper, it makes it convenient, and then also it makes it already the Malawi passengers already have access to the Ugandan network seamlessly. So that is one of that. And then of course I've mentioned the frequency. When we have regular flights, when we have daily flights, it makes the route reliable, it makes the route valuable, so we are able to move our passengers, we are able to move. So to answer your question, these are our ways of improving the connectivity. So how do we support and what are the benefits? Benefits, we increase tourism, of course, because passengers have options. They have options, they can travel Malawi, they can travel Uganda Airlines, and they are regular flights. And when we have regular flights, then we are attracting more tourists to come to Uganda or to come to Lilongwe. And of course, business opportunities. Once we have a flight that is taking only 3 hours to get to Uganda, or from Uganda to Malawi, maybe 3 to 3 hours and a half, definitely there are going to be exponential growth in terms of business opportunities. Then the cargo I already mentioned. We have the valuable cargo, the perishables, the foodstuffs. All these are time bound, and they need reliable and on-time departures and direct flights, whereby you know that your cargo is coming from maybe a garden in Uganda. It will be in the supermarket after 4 hours. It will be on sale after 4 or 5 hours, because we have direct flights. And of course, on top of the cargo, it also contributes to economic growth, like I've already mentioned, creation of jobs and poverty reduction. So definitely it can support in that way. And then to answer the question about, I think you mentioned about routes.
Yes.
And partnerships. Firstly, collaboration in this age and era is the way to go. You can only succeed, you can only grow when you're working together. You can only grow, you can only succeed when you're in collaboration. So Uganda Airlines already has a number of airlines we are working with, we are collaborating with SA, Kenya Airways, Air Tanzania, and Ethiopian as well is in the advanced stages, and it will, I think, make it even easier for us to have a collaboration with Malawi Airlines, because it's a shareholder of Air Malawi, and we're already in advanced stages of having a partnership with Ethiopian. So when we collaborate, definitely, like I have already mentioned, we are tapping into a wider market. We will have a wider market. Air Malawi automatically will access Uganda Airlines network. So the collaboration is very, very key. We shall have expanded networks. And then, of course, when you talk about the strategic routes, definitely Entebbe, Lilongwe, Entebbe is very strategic because of the huge potential here, a lot of traffic here, a lot of religious traffic in this place, a lot of movements, business. There's just a huge potential in this place. So that will be strategic. And then also the other one which I want to mention is as countries, we should also work about our domestic flights, so that we are able to connect passengers to be able to take them to international, to carry them to international, destinations as well. Because like you can have one international airport, but if we had, let's say passengers can be moved from, let's say Arua directly to, let's say Nairobi internationally, that would make, it will be easy, it will be good. It will make it easy. Passengers from Lilongwe and Blantyre can move from Blantyre. They don't have to come to Lusaka from Blantyre. They can fly outside of Malawi. That makes, connectivity, and it's a big strategy. Then finally, as tours and travels in Uganda, and tours and travel in sorry to mention something. Tours and travel in Uganda, and tours and travel agencies in Malawi, they must work together. Because, like I mentioned, when I came, I did not know much about Malawi, and yet I'm an African and I'm a Ugandan. Many people out there would love to come here, but they know nothing about Malawi. Same thing, Malawi people might not know much about Uganda. So as tours and travel, it's very, very, very incumbent that our way to go, like Our Excellency said, that we need tangible results. Maybe that could be one of the tangible results that could be arranged, that we understand the gem that is in Malawi, and Malawi understand the gem that is in Uganda, so that they are able to facilitate and they are able to sell. Uganda Airlines were able to sell Malawi Airlines because of what we know. Multiple destinations. When we have tourists coming here, we are able to sell them. Okay, in Uganda, in Malawi, if you're coming, let's say they're coming from, let's say outside countries, let's say Europe, when they come to Malawi, they're able to see the 5. But we know that in Uganda we have the 2, so we can join the 2 in Uganda, so that they can continue their journey from Malawi, we continue to Uganda. So that can only be effective if we know about each other. What can we sell? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that elaborate explanation, where you have touched on how we can improve. You have mentioned on the direct flights, which Air Malawi has started, will start this coming December. The indirect flights, increasing the number of flights, among us many other areas on how we can improve the connection between Uganda and Malawi, as well as some of the routes, strategic routes. You touched on that. So thank you very much for your contribution. We now move to Malawi Airlines. Maybe you can introduce yourself, and once you introduce yourself, you can now respond to the following questions, where you can highlight Malawi Airlines perspective. What are the biggest aviation-related constraints limiting tourism and trade between the two countries, and how you as a company can partner with Ugandan Airlines to create multi-destination tourism packages or improve regional connectivity?
Thank you so much, MC. My name is Charles Ngambi. I'm the head of commercial for Malawi Airlines. And Malawi Airlines is greatly honored to participate in this noble event. I'm also happy to meet my colleague from Uganda Airlines. I recall it was in October 2023. I was part of the high-powered government delegation that went to Uganda to strike the bilateral agreement. The team there, the CAA, and there was also one person from Uganda Airlines. I've just forgotten the name. It's a he. I was welcomed as an airline person by him, of course, also the other partners from the CAA. It was quite a good meeting, and it's been long coming. Finally, we're here, and I'm happy that that meeting that happened at that particular time, this is the result now. So now coming to what you've actually put forward to Malawi Airlines, starting with the response. This is the Malawi Airlines perspective. Of course, as Malawi Airlines, we recognize aviation, that it is a backbone of tourism and trade between these two countries, Malawi and Uganda. While both countries offer rich cultural heritage and natural attractions, several aviation-related constraints have historically, limited full potential of the bilateral tourism and trade relations, not just for these two countries, but also for other countries. I think what I can also, before I forget, what I can also hint on is the good relationship. My colleague from Uganda Airlines has actually encouraged carriers within the region to support one another. This is the challenge that we have. There is a pull-down syndrome between the African carriers, and this is not good. We have to emulate what carriers in Europe are doing. There are a lot of airline agreements, like the Star Alliance agreement, the SkyTeam agreement. We need to be doing likewise, because most carriers, we tend to do things that will not help the Africa region to grow its aviation. So I thank you for those remarks. I really appreciate, especially on the part of collaboration. So the key constraints that I can highlight, not as many, but they're the major ones. Firstly, the limited direct connectivity. Of course, it's now addressed by us, Malawi Airlines, between the two nations, because previously travelers and traders relied on third country hubs, increasing travel time and also costs. So this was a major barrier to seamless tourism and trade. So with the launch of our new direct flights, effective 15 December, we'll be operating 4 times in a week, on Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. It will be a flight that will be overnighting and returning from Entebbe to Lilongwe early in the morning at 6:15. Outbound departure is 16:20. It's a 2-hour flight, but when you add touchdown, taxiing to parking bay, we mostly put 10 to 15 minutes. So the yardstick now there of flying time is 2 hours, 15 minutes. So you can see it's quite short. And remember, there is also a time difference, CAT and EAT. So factor that in. Arrival time in Uganda would be 1 hour plus because of the East African time. Infrastructure limitations. I think I would also encourage the governments to pay attention as much into infrastructure so that we can compete well with the Europe, Asia, all across the Atlantic airline hubs. It's very important, because what I see sometimes, the support from the governments in the Africa region is upside down, to say that. The government sometimes forget that the airline industry are playing a big role, especially in terms of driving the economy. Foreign currency, it's the airlines. We bring in a lot of traffic, inbound, of course, as well as outbound. So we would want to Johannesburg, so we can take passengers from Entebbe, come down to the Lilongwe direct flight, and then connect. And then we'll also be connecting to Harare and also Lusaka. And I'm happy to hear from our colleagues from Uganda Airlines, because we saw from the our marketing intelligence team that you're also flying to these destinations, and that would also, ensure our collaboration, as you've said. I'll also comment on that at some point. And other constraints as well, high operating costs, the stakeholders that handle us in the airports, because in Africa, not many countries have got various, in this case, for example, ground handling agents handling carriers. Certain countries, very few, maybe 2. Certain countries, maybe just 1. So sometimes the support that you get from these service providers is different compared to if you had maybe 5, 6, 7, because you can easily switch in case your budgets are not in line with the cost of the ground handling companies or catering companies. So that's another thing. There is also aviation fuel, maintenance costs, and of course also reliance on external hubs. It's high time the African traveler starts to talk good of our African hubs. There are a lot of people that would actually say things that would not encourage those that are outside the Africa region to transit through our airports. So I would want to, I implore that there has to be a mindset change. So basically, on the constraints, there is also the regulatory and of course coordination gaps. Sometimes differences in aviation policies and sometimes bilateral agreements can slow down the route expansion and also discourage seamless cooperation in terms of carriers that are applying the route. Pathways for partnerships with Uganda Airlines. Despite these constraints, of course, Malawi Airlines sees a great opportunity in partnering with Uganda Airlines to strengthen regional connectivity and also unlock tourism and trade. Because there is now big potential between the two nations. So, as my colleague from Uganda Airlines commented on the joint multi-destination tourism packages, it's important we create, it's high time the tour operators, travel agencies create itineraries combining Malawi, for example, Lake Malawi with Uganda gorilla trekking. I watch a lot of CNN news. It's so encouraging, captivating to see Uganda promoting the gorillas, the gorilla trekking. This is high time also, like Malawi, we copy, maybe be visible in such high-profile news channels to promote, just like Uganda is doing. So we can only learn with this now forum here. We can only learn from our colleagues in Uganda. How do they do it?